We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Welcome to this first episode of the ESL debate. Tonight, I am joined by some tremendous guests Coach Bois, Walter, Michael. These are the first three members of the panel.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I'm sharing. Guys, please share. Share as well. I'm going to send the link on WhatsApp. All right.
All right, we are here.
Very good. So, this is it. Let me share it as well. I don't know if you've received it individually. Look, let me share it here in the other group as well. Okay, all right. So I invite you to share it with all your friends. Welcome to the show. Today, we are going to discuss quite an interesting topic. Sounding native. We are all ESLs here, or EFLs. And I think this is a topic that is very relevant to all of us. I'm not the, your typical big or massive introduction guy. I'll let you guys just briefly introduce yourselves before sharing your thoughts. But yeah, let's get the ball rolling. Okay, very good. Give me a second. Let me give you context for all those who are watching us live. Guys, remember, share it. Look. Okay. Yeah, this is it. Got it. All right, here we are. And here we go. Who is it? Is it B? B, can you please turn off your mic? All right, I had to mute your mic. Okay, you can turn it on when I give you the floor. Guys, for context, this is what we're discussing. Should we all sound native? Sounding native, what does it refer to? Well, it refers to the fact of having a near native pronunciation as a non-native speaker. So if you speak and sound like an American or you sound British, basically you sound native, you sound natural. That's what it refers to, right? Okay, very good. So, well, what are we discussing concretely? I guess it's quite clear when we say, should we sound native? So basically, when you are learning a language, the case of English here, are you supposed or are you expected to go through the entire process of studying the pronunciation? How to pronounce words individually, but also how to connect them. So individual pronunciation of the words is pronunciation itself. And then when you connect them accurately, just like native speakers do, then you have what we can call a natural accent. Is that a big area of focus? Is it a prerequisite? That's what we're discussing. Well, Coach Bois, I call you Mabby Jams. You are a coach as well, and also a translator and interpreter. And I want to get the ball rolling with you right here. The first question goes as is. I want us to discuss the feasibility of it. All right. So, can any learner achieve a native-like accent, or does it require a special talent? This is a double-folded question. So, if so, is it possible without living in an English-speaking country?
All right. So the floor is given to me, all right?
Sure.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Coach Bois. Well, it's a pleasure for me to take the floor let's say that is a very important and strategic question that really requires good responses. Well, what I can say is that normally speaking on that matter, I really like to be impartial because
Yeah.
let's say, okay, so in fact, my goal isn't to win an argument, but I would like to explore the strengths, weaknesses, and nuances in each position. All right. I don't know whether you understand me.
Sure.
Well, I believe that by looking at both perspective with equal curiosity, we can reach a deeper understanding, not just about whether native like accent is achievable or whether it should be a prerequisite, but let's say about what these questions mean for real learners in the real world. I think of me as the referee who occasionally joins the game
Yeah.
but always plays fair. All right. Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Sorry, but I would like to go. I mean, on that basis, if you please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Let's say it's quite possible to reach the let's say the native like accents acquisition. It's quite possible, and at the same time, it is not let's say a prerequisite because we say that language is meant to be used as a mean of discussion, as a mean of communication. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can stop here for the time being. All right, thank you.
Okay. So we know from you that it is possible. Now, how do you achieve it? The other question, is it possible without living in an English speaking country?
Yes, it
Okay.
is possible
So
to. I mean,
you don't
without.
okay.
Yeah,
You don't believe it requires a special talent. I'm asking this question because, well, it is even scientifically believed and proven. You've probably read some of the, research findings that posit that some learners naturally have what is referred to as a phonetic aptitude, something that you can also find in in music, and we have it in common. We do play music, right? um um I guess we're going to go deeper with that, but this is what brings the question. Maybe there is a viewer watching us right now who has been trying, like, who has been a very, like, quite a never ending and die hard trier, I would say, in this journey, but they just remain disappointed because um sometimes you just feel like it's beyond your pay grade. You just can't make it. Other people can, but you just can't. Maybe you're not creative enough. Maybe you don't have this intrinsic phonetic aptitude that maybe Mabby James has, and that your typical Toto just doesn't have, right? So that's what we're discussing right here. I'll get back to you, Mabby James, on that. I've got your viewpoint. You took a firm stance on the fact that it is possible, right? So every single learner can make it, and especially without living in an English speaking country, which hasn't been
yes,
the case for you. You haven't lived in an English speaking country so far.
that's great. That's
So
great. I mean,
you're gonna share your experience with us. Yeah, go ahead. Make your point.
yeah. So when it comes down to accents acquisition, let's say from my own experience, it's something that I acquired even without leaving the country. I mean, Cote d'Ivoire.
Hmm.
So I say that I'm a kind of eyewitness for this kind of let's say, yeah, this problem and this this situation, if I can
Okay.
say it this way. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, very good. Let's hear from Walter, another
Okay.
coach and very enthusiastic learner. I like your energy, Walter.
Thank you very
You
much.
You are a very straightforward and articulate person
Mhm.
that the audience will be very pleased to hear, I believe. Go ahead.
Wow. Um, I'm even worthless after this introduction. Well, so I am Coach Walter, and English is my favorite language. Not because I was born English, but because I have learned the language, and finally I'm speaking this language with an unbelievable way. You know, um, I'm not going to be partial, but I am mostly going to be for this topic debate. I
Mm,
can't bear the way people think, like because I'm not native, so I don't have to try hard to speak like a native speaker. Yeah,
right.
if
You,
I am
you,
able to
you,
convince or I'm
you're
able to
getting
convey,
into the nitty
I'm able
gritty.
to.
I mean, you're just hitting the nail
Sure.
on the head, which is fine. But before we get there, just focus
Okay.
more on the feasibility. Then we're gonna hear your
Mm-hmm.
final viewpoint.
All right, no problem. Say
Is
it
it
is
possible?
possible.
Of course,
Possible.
from what you've said, I conclude I can understand that it is possible without living in an English speaking
Yes.
country. Is that a thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
think
it
it
is
is
also possible.
possible without living. Sure, everything is a matter of will. When you will,
Yeah,
you can. When you
yeah.
decide to do something, you go for it. I think it comes possible. It becomes possible for you to achieve it. So I believe, that it is impossible. I mean, it is possible actually to speak like a native
Mm,
speaker, even when you are not native.
okay, all right, quite interesting. Is there anybody
Sure.
here on the panel who disagrees? Are we all on the same page? I guess we all aligned that it is possible. For the moment, we're focusing on the feasibility. Uh,
Sure.
okay, so it is possible. Very good, very good. That's fine. Well, let's move on. Let's uh, let's start cooking. Let's get into it. This is what we came here for. The focus is
For sure.
on the prerequisite. What would be the prerequisite? Communication or the form? Or maybe sounding natural is part of effective communication. Anyway, the question goes first to Mr. B. Mr. B, you are also a teacher. You are an ESL enthusiast, and it's not your first time joining us on a live activity. Your voice will be very familiar. Um, yeah, let's not beat around the bush. Should sounding native be a primary goal in English learning, or is it a secondary? Is it secondary to effective communication? Are you around, B? Okay, I think B is gonna join us later on. He's I think he was just he's been accidentally kicked out. Probably his network. Okay, all right. So let me give it to Rodriguez. Rodriguez, you will tell us about yourself. Are you also a teacher or just a learner? And I know you are actually against the statement that English learners should sound native. So go ahead, voice your thoughts, your mind.
So thank you for this opportunity. So to be honest, I don't think that speaking exactly like a native speaker should be the main goal. You know what I'm saying? So what matters most is that my listener understand me and they understand what they say. I can have a foreign accent. That is fine as long as I can convey my message clearly. Mr. Mark, in fact, trying too hard to imitate a perfect accent takes a lot of time and energy that I could use to improve my vocabulary, grammar, or listening skills. right? So even native speakers themselves have different accents. I can say American, British, Australian, and so on, yet they understand each other without any problem. So I can say for me, real success is being able to communicate effectively, not to sound 100% native. That was my point of view about this segment.
Okay, Walter, would you like to react here?
Of course. Of course, I would. Anyways, I am definitely happy he said something. I said it is important to speak in order to to convey effectively a message, you know. And I agree with him at this level. What I think is when you know how to speak, or when your accent looks like native, or like I say when you speak quite like native speakers, it gives you more confidence, and also
Mm-hmm.
the goal to convey the message effectively is reached, because when you speak quite like him, it doesn't have a feeling of trying hard before understanding what you're saying, you know, and it seems it seems like a natural conversation. So I think the thing is here to convey a message effectively, that the most important one is to easily convey the message and to get the communication fluent, you know. So I
Yeah.
go for thinking quite like a native, and this is like the way I think you can feel after communicating with a native speaker. How do you feel?
Mm,
You feel happy, or you feel, you feel good because you've been able to convey a message without any, difficult any difficulty. I'm going to say sorry, without
right.
any, you know, sure. So you go effectively. This is the great advantage is to be able to speak native like and easily convey the message effectively. So they go
Mhm.
together actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play devil's advocate.
Hmm.
What if you are still in the preliminary stages of developing a near native pronunciation? You aren't there yet. So, you're still crafting and adjusting and polishing. It doesn't sound perfect, and you are quite vulnerable to mistakes and misunderstandings related to mispronunciation. That's part of the process, isn't it? Just like a baby getting started with basic words and making sentences, and not necessarily being sounding the most intelligible, isn't it? So when that happens, there could be a failure in communication. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's worth the risk of not being understood? When you focus more on pronunciation, you become more pronunciation aware, and you try to sound as natural as possible, but you're not there yet. So the process can be, you can be sort of handicapped, especially if you do not necessarily have an intrinsic um, phonetic aptitude. For instance, you're gonna sound. Some people tend to speak faster at this stage than they should, and others tend to sound a little bit, even I would say, more American than Americans themselves, or more British than British people themselves. I don't know if you resonate with that or kind of relate. I've been there myself. So when that happens at this stage, is that a problem? And yeah, I mean, is that maybe a reason for somebody not to consider focusing on the accent first and maybe the message first instead? I'm still with you, Walter.
Okay, I think this is a nice question. What is definitely frustrating is that you say something and then they'll be like, "What?" And you say it again. They'll be, "What? What did you say? Did you mean this one, or you mean that one?" And it is more frustrating, I think, to go like this than, you know, speaking with the accurate pronunciation. And I know you can make effort to, to go step by step. You'll be like going slowly. You'll take time to speak, but I think this one is what is the way to go carefully. When you go, it is more effective, and this is not, anyway, it is less frustrating than when you're repeating yourself all the time before
Yeah.
even placing an idea. Sure. Before conveying an idea, before placing an idea well. So if you go slowly but accurately with the right pronunciation, with the right intonation, you care about the phonetic aspect, and
Mhm.
you are able not to repeat yourself all the time. I think this is the best way to do.
Good. Over to Coach Bois. You probably have quite a few things to add here. So, yeah, pick it from any end and shoot.
Okay, I thought where. Hello, can you hear me well?
Sure.
Okay, now for this matter, let's say pronouncing, like native speaker sometimes can be a little bit daunting. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know whether, yeah, but let me say that it's quite possible. You see, when everybody wants to, when somebody wants to, let's say, be much more influential, or let's say quite, let's say, yeah, influential, they need to really understand the importance of having good pronunciation skills. I mean, that looking like or sounding like American or British or whatsoever. You see,
Yeah.
but let's say that sometimes this poses a problem. But I would say that it shouldn't be the case. All right, because I personally, I'm in my beginnings. Let's say it was quite difficult for me to have a kind of discussions with Americans, British. I mean, those guys. I mean, the European guys. You see, well, so by dint of practicing, by dint of let's say digging up here and there, let's say I mean, come to the point that you see it's quite possible, but with effort, with a lot of energy. You see, if you just throw your energy into that process, I'm sure that it can be, like I say, I would say it's possible and it's doable if you struggle a lot. If you do all, I mean, you do everything possible, you can really be able to communicate easily, because it's very important for you to yeah, melt into the atmosphere. I don't know whether
Mhm.
everything is okay. Yeah, if you understand what I mean. All
Yeah, yeah,
right.
sure.
So yeah. So for me, that questions of let's say pronunciation matters. Really, it matters, because at the beginning, I used to learn how to speak like American. Later on, I changed because I mean of the, yeah, the situation, because being interpreter, I've been exposed to, let's say, other problem, situation, or issues. Sometimes when I speak, they say, no, you're too American, you're too, yeah, American. So try to chant a little bit so that some people like Ghanaians, those who are not, I mean, in Africa, can hear you easily. I mean, it depends on the context. So I don't know whether I make myself clear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Unfortunately, we've lost some of our fellow. Okay, here we have B Bully. Hello, can you hear me? B, are you around?
Yes, coach. I'm here. Yes, I'm
Okay,
around.
all right, very good. Go ahead. you just joined us
Okay.
in progress, but go ahead on. I mean, I would like to hear you from the very beginning on the first point. You know, the first thing we discussed here is the feasibility. We talked about the special talent factor. That's something that I pointed personally. The others did not necessarily dwell on that, but you know what I report here is an idea that even like scholars posit that some people have a phonetic aptitude. So that refers to an exceptional ability to hear and reproduce sounds accurately. Often the same skill that helps musicians pick up melodies. So that's creativity. It's a natural aptitude, and that certainly helps a lot when it comes to English, to language learning. However, for most learners, achieving a near, let's say, a native like accent requires deliberate and consistent practice over years, not just talent. This is my personal observation. It just doesn't happen, overnight. So do you think every single learner can achieve a native like accent?
Okay. Thank you so much, dear coach. Um, as far I'm concerned, I can say sounding natives is not necessarily in terms of communication. Sounding native is not a prerequisite in terms of learning English. The idea that I like that the ability to speak English naturally is not a condition for learning the language. For the first aspect, I would like to say language learning is a progressive process. You see, learning a language such as English is a process that unfolds in stages. First of all, we all know that learners acquire the fundamental principles, which is learning sounds, letters, words, phrases, and grammatical structures, something like that. But it's normal to start with simple expression, but gradually we can move towards more complex ones and practice. So in this case, we cannot say that sounding native is prerequisite. I totally disagree with that fact. So therefore, a result of time and practicing every single day, here being natural or sounding native is therefore a result of time, and practice is not a prerequisite. This is for the first part.
Okay.
Now,
Well, I guess
okay.
I guess you've just killed two birds with one stone, because that
Sure.
answers the second question, at
Sure.
least in part. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. B.
Okay. Now, the second aspect. Okay. We know that natural is being natural is a product of experiences, not a static condition. So it's often associated with advance of mastering the language itself. You know, the language including a deep understanding. For example, we know that we just want to sound like a native, but that's not a problem, because learning a language should not require the mastery of the language. You see, so in this case, we can say sounding native is not the first things we have to see, because we are just learning. We are just learning English, and English is not, I can say, a natural language itself. Is created by human beings and is
Yeah.
learned by human. So yeah, this, for a time, I can say, is not necessarily in terms of learning English as well.
Okay. Well, that is fine. Let me get back to Mabby Jams. Are you around, Jams?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Well, I guess it also depends on the context and
Mm,
the purpose, because there are
mm.
professions requiring a high oral performance. You can think
Yes.
about acting, broadcasting, even diplomacy, and so on and so forth. Do
Yeah.
you think that kind of changes the rules of the
Yeah.
game?
Okay. Let me be honest with you guys. All right. Look, you see, when we try to talk about global professional standards, let's say certain industries require a consistent, standardized accent for brand identity, authority, or precision. For example, let's say the broadcasters are often trained in general American, or they receive pronunciation to appeal to broad audiences. So you get a point. If you take the example of airline pilots, you see,
Mhm.
they have to use standardized pronunciation to ensure safety in international communication. Imagine yourself, being there as a pilot, and you speak like you speak like an Igbo guy, like a Ghanaian guy. I mean, your accent is not that American. Or sorry, I'm sorry. Or my Igbo friends. I'm sorry, but imagine yourself in that context. You see, that would distort the core effect of your communication if your accent is not that standardized. I don't know whether you understand me. Okay, so
Crystal clear.
yeah, crystal clear. Thank you. So the second point, let me just go on to that quickly. The second point is that, you see, we want to make sure that our target audience has, that ease of comprehension. Okay. So a standardized accent can minimize miscommunication, particularly in high stakes fields like medicine or diplomacy, even in the language industry, like those who do interpreting or translations. You see. So let me tell you that studies show that familiar accents increase listener processing. You see, because at the same time you're speaking, your listeners are processing something in their minds. Okay,
No.
so yeah, that it increase the listener processing time and error rate. You get a point. So when you are, for example, in UN conferences, interpreters aim for natural accents to ensure clarity for all delegates. So you see, that really poses a huge problem when you don't have. Your accent is not that standardized. You see, you get a point. I don't remember. I had a friend of mine who was in a booth. In a booth, this is the place where interpreters or translator have to perform. So he was in the booth and he was speaking. His accent was quite different from what we used to hear. You see the point. So those, it was not English, but let's say rather French. Okay, he was
Yeah.
speaking French with a let's say, the guy comes from Morocco, but you see how they have this Arabic touch. I don't know whether you get a point. So the guy
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
speaking French, but the French was not that. Yeah, yeah, come on. I don't know whether you get a point. So the target audience had to, one of them, in the audience auditorium, had to just wave, make a sign, say that, well, your accent, your way of speaking is not really understandable. So we had to change the interpreters. I don't know whether you get a point. So it's very
Yeah.
important to consider this fact for, let's say, communication, for comprehension effectiveness. All right.
Yeah. So
Thank you
so
so
there's
much.
certainly more pressure in some fields, but
Yes, of
that
course.
pressure, high level of pressure doesn't apply to all fields. For instance, if you're a learner and maybe you are an engineer, and you're not going to be required to communicate in official settings, maybe you don't have that much pressure. At the end of the day, I guess that's one fair point, or middle ground we can find here. Now, from a communicative language teaching perspective, myself as a teacher, I can tell that beforehand, clarity and I mean, intelligibility, referring to the fact of speaking clearly enough to make yourself understood, um, matter far more than perfect accents. I guess we would agree to disagree, or just agree that this is just a thing. This is definitely a thing. At the end of the day, what you want to do is to put a message across, right? Um, if you pronounce the words in a way that they are understood or understandable, then you've got it. The other aesthetic things are just pluses. Now, again, I underline it. This is from a communicative language teaching perspective. I am not going to be disregarding of the fact that in real life situations, depending on where you are, there is a strong necessity for you to adapt, adjust to your interlocutors. So it depends on how much of a good impression you want to make as well, because at a job interview for a local company, finding yourself somewhere in the US, maybe speaking in a very intelligible way, and to them that would be probably as natural as possible. Why not? Especially if your job has to do with communication and you're going to represent the company officially, maybe that matters a lot. So I guess it really depends on on the context. Now,
on the situations.
Yeah, it depends on the situations. Now, over focusing on sounding native can be somehow problematic here as well. So I guess that's something we have to mention as well.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I think you're just talking about this. I mean, you are highlighting the pedagogical or the learning context. All right.
Yeah, that was the first point I made. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you see, people have to understand. I really agree with what you say. I agree with you on that. Why? Because you see, perfecting an accent can be resource intensive and may distract from other skills like vocabulary expansion or advanced reading. Yeah, I know I'm speaking from experience. As I said, I'm not part, I like to be impartial, but this is something that we need to understand, okay? Because you see, language learning language learning time is finite. We have to prioritize. If we prioritize accent, that may delay functional proficiency. You see, because sometimes, what we really need to acquire, quickly, so as to be more communicative on the go, is vocabulary expansion, acquisition, grammar, all this stuff. So if you as a learner really understands this idea, I think that will make your learning a little bit balanced,
Yeah.
your learning process a little bit balanced. Because I know I received a lot of people, some learners who spent all the time in the learning journey. They spend the time going from accents learning to you get a point. But at the end of the day, they ended up, let's say, confused, unbalanced, because they even don't know what kind of accents or native accents that they have. Sometimes you are exposed to that unbalanced feeling. That pushes you to when you to behaving differently when you are. You are in front of an American or a British guy. Let me tell you something. In my beginnings, you see, I used to, let's say, speak English like a native, like American, a native American, when I am to speak with the American guys. I don't know whether you understand me. So
Yeah.
when I have to speak with British, I have to use another accent. So that was the result of that unbalanced, training or learning process in which I spent all my time running after accent acquisition, all the stuff. So I think it's very important for learners to clearly understand, yeah, let's say the limits of that process or the steps or this, let's say, approach. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, I'm still with you, Mabby James. Then it's gonna go to Walter.
Okay.
Um, so I was I was talking about over focusing on sounding native,
Yeah.
and at startup, one of the things that I mentioned is that awareness. The self consciousness um, that comes as a result of focusing a lot on the pronunciation and trying to be careful when you're talking. So over focusing on sounding native earlier, let's say early on in the language learning process, do you think that can delay fluency as learners may become self-conscious and therefore hesitant to speak?
Yes. I mean, this is what I even referred to when I was just speaking. You see, let's say learning English should be how can I say balance. Let me just come back to it. It should be balanced. I mean, some people do consider pronunciation rather than trying to go, through the different modules of the language itself, like
Yeah.
listening, speaking, writing, all the stuff. So they spend too much time on listening, learning, on trying to sound native, that sometimes when they speak, finally you really know that the content itself of the speech is quite, let's say, light.
Mm.
Okay, it's quite light. So
It's kind of void, right?
yeah, it's quite void. Thank you. It's
Mm.
kind of void. So of course pronunciation is important, but
Mhm.
at the first point or the very first target that you should try to reach. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. We're about to wrap it up. Let's hear from Walter on the same points. I guess you want to react to anything you would like to add here, along with it.
Well, I totally agree with this man. I don't really know his
Mabby
name.
Jams.
And
Mabby
okay, Mary
Jams.
James, thank you for everything you said, and I totally agree with you. I actually have nothing else to add, and what I'm going to say is going to be like joining him a little, because I totally agree for the fact he said that when speaking to he's been talking about his experience when talking to an American previously. He
Yeah.
used to speaking the American way. Yeah, I mean, it was used to speaking the American way, and after talking to a British one, same thing happened, and now it's been quite hard to have like a what do you call it? Like a balanced
A
English
balance. Yeah.
accent
Yeah.
or
I think.
stable
I
English
think.
accent
I think I'm also going the hybrid way. I've been there. What he's
for
referring
sure.
to,
Yeah,
I've been there. Yeah.
yeah.
So
But I happened like to speak English with a selected accent. I couldn't I couldn't bear speaking English, like speaking African English when talking about Igbo or I don't know Ghanaian accent. I couldn't feel
you are being
I couldn't
very
feel good.
controvertible this evening. I know.
Yeah,
I,
I couldn't feel good.
I know you'll be under
You know,
fire in the
I said I
comment section.
couldn't.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I couldn't feel better like speaking, you know, American way or British way. I think the language is not ourselves, like it is not our language. It is the language of a stranger. It's like a strange language. And when speaking a strange language, I think the best thing to do is to sound like the strangers. For example, if I am
You're making a point. Sorry for
like talking
cutting you
about,
on,
let's talk
but that's factual. Sorry for cutting you on. Sorry, but this is something
All
that
right.
I've even mentioned somewhere in the past. English
Okay.
is not an African language. If you want to promote your African culture, do it with your own languages.
Mhm.
If you
For sure.
feel
Yeah.
that there is a reason for you to sort of Africanize a foreign language, a Western language, well, this is subjective, it's very personal. If it's a way for you to express your identity, well, go for it, but do not normalize it. That's a point that
Okay.
needs to
Sure.
be made. So heads up.
Shouldn't be
Go ahead.
normalized, yeah.
Words up.
Sure. So I have, like, I'm going just to say that, well, if you convey the message with the right pronunciation, let's focus on the right pronunciation. If you sound the word, let me just take the same example last day when having we had a session last time, and I was like bringing an example on stage. Like I said, there
Mhm.
was a French man who was speaking to to an an Anglophone, and he said,
Mhm.
the key to life, the key to life is a penis in your asshole. And the American
No way.
one, the American guy was the American guy was like, "Oh my god, I'm sure you don't mean what you say." And then it asked him to tell the same sentence in French. And it said, la clé, okay, la clé de la vie, c'est le bonheur dans la famille, le bonheur à la maison. And he said, oh yeah, you mean the key to life is happiness in your household, So this is
It's
like,
too bad that I didn't see this coming, so I couldn't put the censor beep. I hope there will be a way to catch it up later on,
oh,
and that it's not
anyways, I'm
detrimental to
sorry.
the
I'm
the
definitely
life.
sorry. I'm definitely sorry about that.
Anyway,
You know,
Yeah.
go ahead.
sure.
This is funny. Go ahead, keep going.
So, so this is something that the Frenchman, didn't expect to. Let's say to arrive or to happen. But finally, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to, to say that rubbish, like go like this. So, it is normal to speak the language with the right pronunciation, and this is what you have to do. This is what any learner has to do. When you want to speak the language, speak it accurately. Yeah.
Yeah,
Check the right pronunciation first before speaking. Before pronouncing the sentence or pronouncing the words. And I
most
think this
definitely.
is sure. This is what I have to say. There is nothing else. There is nothing
Right,
else to say. This is what I have to say.
guys.
Sure.
I'm sorry to have to cut it here. We're gonna move on to the conclusion. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll never have
For
enough
sure.
of it. Basically, this type of conversation. I think I will call it an introductory talk. Right? It's gonna be part one. Then there will be a second part and maybe another part and on and on. I will have more people to come, to join us on the talk, basically. But
Okay.
yeah,
Sure.
what can we say at the end of the day? So many things. Okay, let me put it in this way. I think it is very important to underline the fact that um, the the necessity to sound native is is I'm trying to be balanced with this, but I think the necessity to sound native is factual.
For
Yeah,
sure. Practical.
anything against it would be very subjective. at a very profound level, like subjective, right? Now, the level of pressure experienced by each learner will vary depending on the stakes. If the stakes are very high, then they will need to make probably more efforts than their other peers. Now, anyway, to cut a long story short, this is how I can put it. The beauty of the language lies in its simplicity. Remember, guys, it's not about trying to use the most uncommon words. It's not about trying to use the most sophisticated accent. It's just about you expressing yourself in a simple, clear, and effective way. You know, you just express your thoughts freely, sorry. Choosing the right words and placing them where they belong. That's just how it is. You know, then you let the
Yeah,
flow
yeah.
carry you. Yeah, you just go with the flow. You let the flow carry you, basically. I mean, of course, we do learn advanced vocabulary for a purpose. You know, so just as a, I'm a musician, so something that I have off the top of my head is just illustrating it with something musical. I'm a bass player. Mabby James knows about it. So I would say just as a well executed bass lick or bass riff can occasionally enhance your the harmonious melody of a band during a performance. A few carefully crafted and stylistically rich phrases or turns of expression can further beautify your speech, of course. So you want to go for it. You want to go for some of the advanced vocabulary you learn in context now and then, but then you want to do it every now and then, not necessarily all the time. Otherwise it becomes redundant and steer clear of pedantism either. That's not the route you want to take. So above all, remember the message matters more, and the content outweighs the form. The pronunciation is part of the form. It is something aesthetic that will shape the structure and the prosodic characteristics of your speech, and probably facilitate communication, but don't cut corners. Go through the steps in their normal order. Learn the vocabulary, learn the grammar along with the pronunciation, not the pronunciation before the language. I've tried to be balanced, and well, that's what I can. That's how I can put it. Yeah, over to you, Mabby James, for your last word.
Okay, thank you so much, guy. Well, let's say language is not, all about rules. Okay, language, is all about humans. All right. So when we talk about humanity, we have to think of, let's say, communication, because what really matters is communication, not having good pronunciation skills, not having
Yeah.
big words, all the stuff. What really is communication. All right. So I can say
Okay.
that.
Come on.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mic
Yeah.
was
Go
off.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I can say that communication matters, but at the same time, you need to complement it with, let's say, good pronunciation for you to be much more impressive. Sometime it depends on the context. All right, but I will join you, my friend, Mr. Coach Mike. I will say that learners should consider the four modules of language. Okay,
Yeah.
speaking, writing, reading, and I don't know. The last one
Listening.
is yeah, listening. These are the four core elements of language. So you need to consider all these aspects if you really want to be a very good English speaker. I mean, to increase your proficiency. All right. So this is what I can say from the time being. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And the floor is yours, Walter, to seal it.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief. The thing is, when you have to say, therefore, you have to convey it effectively. So, in doing that, it requires, the right way to say it. First of all, the content to say to give the content to give should be understood, and how to get it understood is how you give the content, and you have to go with the right pronunciation, with the right intonation, and the right way to say things. So there is no need to just say it over and over again before you finally get people understand what you're going. Get them understood what you're saying or what you've been saying so far. Never
Yeah,
accept to get repeating yourself all the time before messaging.
yeah, that's
So
it.
go for the right pronunciation, and this is going to be, the right thing to do. Sorry,
All right.
it's over.
Yeah,
This is what I'm going to say. Yeah, sure.
yeah, that's it. That's it. So today's conversation, I'll call it a discussion. I don't know if it's been quite a debate. Unfortunately, I've lost some of the key
Yeah,
panelists who were going to advocate for the other side. Like they were really against the statement, the main statement, against the fact that sounding native should be a prerequisite. But, well, by and large, the discussion showed that while a native like accent can be impressive and valuable, a valuable skill for some learners, it isn't the only path to successful communication. So, for most, the real priority is clarity, confidence, and the ability to connect with others. That has been mentioned
sure.
by some of us here. It was B, especially Bully, who said it. But at the end of the day, sounding native may be a worthwhile goal for certain careers. I talked about acting and broadcasting, and Mabby James talked about what was it, interpreting, and what have you. So it really depends
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Interpreting, even though, yeah, yeah, even yeah, pilot be. I mean,
Hmm.
engineering, of course, yeah. So many
Definitely,
sectors, yeah, so many sectors. We really
definitely.
require standardized accents, something like that.
Yeah. Or personal ambitions as well. That's a considerable variable here. Uh, well, but it should never overshadow, and this is very important. It should never overshadow the ultimate aim of language learning,
That's it.
which is understanding and being understood. When you get to the point of nuancing all these different things, understanding all these different nuances, I would say, then you've got it. That's what we've tried to make people understand this evening. And I believe it has been a fruitful attempt. Guys, thank you for your insightful thoughts. And well,
Mhm.
I'm eager to have you again on another talk, or maybe an extension, a continuation of what we got started with today. It's been a pleasure. Quite a few, like hundreds of people have been live watching us. You know, I've displayed some of the comments here. There will certainly be questions as well later on. And sorry, guys, if some of you have asked questions on some of the platforms. We were live on 3 platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. All right. So yeah, we're gonna go and review things and add, you know, and answer your questions basically if you did ask questions. Thanks, and let's call it a night.
Yeah, can I say something, sir? Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, let's say thank you so much for that very important conversation. I think what I can say is that there is still a lot left on the table for future debates. I think that we have to go deep inside the topic, because that really is important for our learners, those who are still struggling to really in the learning process. So I think that we need to organize such like debate in order to bring more clarity in understandings. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you're welcome. And thank you to BLM, who said it's really interesting, this free talk. And he could take a lot of things away. So, well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys, and have a good night. Bye for now.
Bye.